welcome back to Chippie Chat. This is the first of the year.
It is, and it's probably about number 3 or 4 that we've done in total.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to be back, and the sun's shining, and it's not raining, but it's really, really cold. We're in January if you're watching this in the future. Anyway, we're going to do a little intro about what we've been up to, basically, and how the job that we're on, the big build that you've all been watching, is going along. So you tell them what you've been up to.
Lots of stud work. Building the rooms, defining the space. It's a really nice place to get to, quite a milestone. And you can walk the customer around and show them everything. They get a real feel for the size, and they start talking about appliances and what they're going to have, and we can start working out all the fittings and fixtures and all the nice bits. So yeah, it's a good space to be.
Yeah, and it's really nice in terms of you can cover a lot of ground, put a good showing in. People often say, oh, these guys are great, they've built all of this, because anyone who does stud work knows that, you know, you can put a really good showing in. You can build loads of stud walls, and you can do it all in no time at all. The next day you come back, start putting door linings in, and people are like, they did loads yesterday, they've done nothing today. Because there's, do you know what I mean? So you put a good showing in. That's what I like about First Fix. You can, looks like you've really earned your money. Anyway, talking about tradesmen, which we all are, and people who are watching this, we have a lot of tradesmen, and we have a lot of the general public as well, so welcome to you. Now, I get a lot of questions from people via email, Instagram, YouTube, asking me if I'd consider going and look at work, and I do appreciate that, but in quite a lot of the situations, they're too far away for me to make it commercially viable for me and potentially a customer. So I had one customer recently from the south coast near Bournemouth who said to me exactly that. He said, would you come down to me, have a look at my job? I've really had trouble getting a quote. He says, I've had about 11 builders around, and I've had one quote, and it was way over what I wanted to spend, or what I thought I'd spend. So I hear this all the time. Now, I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure whether there's a shortage of tradespeople. I think there is a little bit, but I'm not sure whether it's people think they can get a lot more for the money that they think they want to spend. Does certain people attract certain clients and that sort of stuff? So I want to hear from you guys in the comments what your experience is as tradesmen and as customers is as well. So I want to open a bit of dialogue up there. And talking about that is probably because there's not enough young people coming into the trade. I think that has a lot to do with it as well. What do you think about that, Edge? Because you're my young person.
So I had a bloke message me on Instagram, and he's 27, I think, something like that. And he was saying he's been really struggling to find an apprentice. Someone that doesn't just give up after a week or doesn't jack it in. And I think it's hard. And the job, it's not an easy job, but you have to want to do it, really. I suppose it's like anything. If you're doing something labour intensive and physical, and it's the same with chefing. When I was chefing, I did chefing because I really wanted to do it at that time. And otherwise, I wouldn't have done it. So I think you've got to want to do it, but also incentivise it a bit more and make it a bit more... I don't know, I feel like in New Zealand, if you say you're a carpenter, people look at you and go, oh, amazing, you're a carpenter, that's wicked, that's a really honourable job, that's wicked, amazing. If you say that you're in the building game, to a lot of people in the UK, you're kind of looked down upon and kind of treated differently, I'd say.
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, I will say that, you know, I've experienced prejudice against me just from being dressed in my work clothes and being on a tube train, or being on a train packed full of commuters in suits, you know. Because I've got my dirty, dusty clothes, and it's sort of like, oh, you know, he's just, he's a bit of a sob. Just because I dress like a tramp when I go to work, I still go to Waitrose and I still buy the same clothes and shoes and all the rest of the things that you do. It's just the fact that when I go to work, I tend to look like this.
This is your suit.
Yeah, this is my outfit, yeah. But no, funnily enough, I do think that it's a shame, because I've been working last year with quite a lot of youngsters. I was lucky enough to go and do the carpentry 3rd year Apprentice of the Year award with the Institute of Carpenters. Won by a young guy called Spencer, really good guy, a bit like Ed, really keen, really intelligent, wants to get out there, make a mark for himself in the construction industry, and has a passion for carpentry and joinery. I think it's really important. And coming back to what you said about tradesmen overseas, let's take Germany, for example. Yeah. In Germany, the carpenters they're equivalent to like a lawyer or a doctor or something like that. Respected. It's a real respected occupation. Now, that leads me on nicely to Germany. Next month, February, was meant to be Dach Holz, which is basically, if you like Heavyside carpentry and joinery, so heavyside construction and roofing, it's the show to be at. I've been to it twice before in Stuttgart. This year it's in Cologne, and we're booked to go to it. But they've moved it because of the pandemic, and it's now in July. So it's in July from the 7th to the 9th. Is that right?
I think so. I think it definitely kicks off on the 7th.
Google it, Dach Holz. I'll put a link in the description anyway. But it's going to be amazing. It's such a good place to go. So if you fancy a couple of days away, book yourself some tickets and some accommodation. Get out there. It's absolutely brilliant. And we'll be out there. And if we see you, we will buy you a beer. Who else is going?
We got Connor from Diamondback is actually going, which is really cool. He's never been to one of those shows in Europe. He goes to lots of big state shows, but it's his first time going to one in Europe. So it'd be cool to see him there. I think we'll do something with him whilst we're there. I'm sure
we're going to meet up with Connor Cook from Diamondback Tool Belt. So check his Instagram out if you haven't seen Diamondback, because him and Damani, they're just great at their stories. They're basically running that business via their Instagram. It's brilliant. It's a real eye opener. Anyway, talking about tool fairs, tool shows, I recently picked up a new tape measure. Now, I want to talk about this tape measure because I have tried and bought nearly every brand of tape measure in the last 30 odd years, because I want to try the new one all the time. When you go out and you've broken your last one, you go and try and find a new one. So, for years, the Stanley Power Lock was my go-to tape measure, and I would quite happily buy a Stanley Power Lock because I know what I'm going to get. It's like a McDonald's,
The McDonald's of tape measures.
You go and get a burger, you know how it's going to taste, yeah? It's just like that. But since Power Lock was the solid sort of chrome looking one, quite heavy, but really nice, had a good standout and the rest of it. Now, I've tried everything else, and some tapes are great because, for example, the Milwaukee, you cannot get that to wear out. It's amazing. I quite like the stud, the Milwaukee stud tape. But since picking up the new, it's called a BM300 from Stabila, I'm super impressed. And it's a couple of things. When I picked it up, it's just another tape measure. Let me get it. One sec.
It is brilliant. And a while ago, I had my Lufkin tape, which I was showing off. And unfortunately, that one did not last at all. So sadly, I wouldn't recommend buying that tape. But I would recommend this one, because it's a really nice tape measure.
So this tape measure is just a good tape measure. It has an obviously good standout. The tape's really good quality. It's rubbery, it's small, it's compact. It locks easily. The end of it's not too big, okay? It's not like some of those ones that are huge, which are just too big. And they do you some damage as well. The other good thing about this is I can hook it on to something like CLS, which has got rounded corners upside down, and it will catch it really easily, okay? And the back is also marked. And that was never a real buying point for me, but since having that and doing exactly what I did there, hooking it on, instead of it doing this and falling, hooking it on upside down to something, pulling it tight and measuring like that, it's like a game changer.
You were measuring the other day and you didn't even realise you were using the back tape measure.
Exactly. But the thing about it that I like most is the fact that on the clip, you can actually open the clip with your thumb. So basically this.
So
and
simple.
all that means is my trousers always wear out where I go wallop, wallop, wallop like this. That doesn't do that for me. So I would say it's a shameless plug for the Stabila, this. Okay? They haven't paid me to say this. I'm saying it because it's a really nice bit of kit. Anyway, questions and answers. Ed put a story out on Instagram this morning, and lots of you have sent some questions in. Ed's going to reel them off now, and we're trying to get through them as quickly as possible. Go for it.
Ed and Rob, what do you think of the apprenticeship scheme?
The apprenticeship scheme at the moment needs some help, I think. It's getting that way. I think the colleges that I'm working with, talking to, going to see, are really making strides, but I think there needs to be an industry-wide improvement on the way we deliver training and the quality.
And I saw someone posted something, there was an article on Instagram, or someone put on Instagram, about 30-year-olds coming into trade and doing apprenticeships and helping them and giving them an opportunity as well. So I think there is a lot of improvement to do. And we've spoken to a few people at the CITB, haven't we, about things like that on the radio show, actually. Yeah, I
think the funding should be equal no matter what your age is. If you want to try and progress into a manual trade, I think we need the manual trades. I think the funding should be the same whether you're under 18 or you're over 18.
Yes, agreed. How far are you willing to travel for work? So you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. So
Personally, I'm willing to travel for an hour. So my commute each way is an hour. So every day I drive for 2 hours to get to work. That's partly because working with you, it's a great opportunity, and I'd be stupid to turn it down, even if I had to travel 3 hours a day. But personally, at the moment, I'm willing to travel for an hour each way every day, and that's just my circumstance.
Yeah,
Everyone's different.
and we've recently tried to improve on that, because obviously the carbon footprint and all the rest of it. So Ed now travels to me because he's en route, and then so Ed does half his journey, then I do the other half. So instead of us both bringing a vehicle to work, we do it like that, and that works out well. It saves a bit of money on fuel, etc. I charge him in. So carry on. What's the next one?
Best saw for cutting hits and jacks in terms of cordless power.
Oh, in terms of compound cuts in thick sawn material. Okay, well, it has to be a minimum of 18 volts. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything over that, so like your flex volts or your 40 volt Makitas, your
output.
high output, high
Metabo.
Kokis,
What's
and
the
then
Metabo platform?
the Metabo is
multi-flex or multi-volt.
yeah, that's the Metabo is also a high output battery. It's very similar to the high Koki. They will all cope with it, but it's all about your blade. The thinner the kerf, the easier the cut. But saying that, when you bring it round on the compound, if you're cutting through a 200 by 50 and it's soaking wet, so it's been stacked outside, it's been delivered wet, and you're cutting through it wet, you may have problems. Equally, if it's been dried out for ages and it's done a bit of cupping and you're riding over the top, you may have problems. It's almost like catching it just at the right point. But I use high Koki, Milwaukee. I've used the DeWalt. We've got the old Hitachis and all that sort of stuff. And I do think that most of them can cope with the timber if your blade's sharp.
Yeah, and I think Hikoki released that they're bringing out a new rear handle saw, which I'm really excited about. I love rear handle saws. We've got the Milwaukee, been rocking that for ages.
Yeah.
And that's a real nice saw. So yeah, I'd love to try that new Hikoki one.
I think half the battle is practice as well. If you're going to be doing lots of them, just start feeling the saw going through, to the line. Just do a few practice cuts and just get a handle on it.
Fair wages for an improver with own tools and transport.
Okay, fair wages for an improver with own tools and transport. Okay, so let's say that you've been working with a builder for a couple of years. You can make your way to work. You've been collecting tools. You can produce something right first time and efficiently. I think that a fair wage would be £150 a day. I think especially if you've got your own transport and tools, upwards. I think anything underneath there, this is if you're self-employed. If you're employed, obviously you may get paid a little less, but you get the benefit of holiday pay, sick pay, etc. Whereas us self-employed guys, we don't get none of that.
Yeah. Does Robin work with architects, or does he design the buildings / extensions himself?
I've worked with hundreds of architects in my career, whether I've worked for a client who's had an architect or an architect's approached me and worked with them. I really like architects. I think architects should be respected, and their designs always have meaning and reason. I think we have, in the world in general, I think architecture has always been brilliant and had some of the most amazing people go into it. So I think, I've worked with a lot of architects.
Someone asked, would love some advice on achieving the maximum span for timber's flat roof.
Okay, so you can do one of two things here. If you wanted to go to the TRADA tables, the Timber Research Association Development, all the rest of it, you can actually find them online if it's just setting out, you want to get an idea of what's what. Now, when I was at college, they gave us a simple rule of thumb for working out the height of a timber for, say, a domestic floor over a certain span. And in a nutshell, you take your span in millimetres, divide it by 20 and round it up by the nearest 25 mil. So let's say, for example, it was 3 metres. A tenth of that would be 300. A 20th of that would be 150. You'd round it up to 175, which in old money was 7 by 2. So therefore, if you take that computation and you've got a building which is 6 metres wide, a floor joist to go across there comfortably in timber would need to be 325 millimetres tall. You're not going to get a floor joist that tall. If you would, it would be super expensive. It wouldn't be the sort of normal C24 stuff that you get from the builder's merchant. So I would say that the maximum would be getting up to something like 5 metres before you've got to start thinking about eco joists, I-beams, or an engineered solution.
Yeah, it's the beauty of the technology. You just do research, you can find loads of new things out there. And the eco joists, we've had the electrician in and the plumbers, and they've been doing all the running their first fix through the joist, and it's just been such a breeze.
It is. They're quick to install. They're lightweight. They're super straight, and all the rest of it. So if you check back through some of the previous episodes of the Big Bill, for example, you'll see us putting all the joists in, talking about how we connect them and all the rest of it. So maybe check back there as well. Okay, where are we going now, Ed? We've done all the Q&As.
Done the Q&A. Yeah, I just picked a few out. We're going to discuss about ideas, what we've got coming up in the new year, and
yeah. So I meet a lot of people when I'm out and about, and Ed and I meet people when we're out and about together, obviously. And
Screwfix is a hotspot.
Yeah, Screwfix, tool station, timber merchants, Waitrose, even whatever, And so I was thinking that I've got a couple of mates who've got some really nice production facilities, carpentry heavy. We've got Tom Wright with Cutrights. His place is such a good place to go and have a look at. And now the restrictions are easing, and we're all a bit more comfortable about meeting. Maybe having a lateral flow and all the rest of it, meeting up. I think there's an opportunity there for maybe the odd Saturday morning to have a small meet up to look at some of this technology. I could shamelessly plug some of my stuff, like my roofing square, show you that.
Yeah.
I could even have some hinge jigs there, because a lot of people ask me when they see me, have you got any hinge jigs? I want to buy one off you there and then. So we could do that as well. And maybe, just exchange notes. So if you think that's a good idea and you'd be up for it, again, comment down below or send us a message on Instagram or something like that. Or indeed, if you've got a premises that you'd like to host a Saturday morning meet, Ed, myself, and whoever else we decide wants to come along would be quite good, wouldn't it?
Maybe we could do a Chippie Chat from there. That'd be quite good.
Yeah, that'd be quite good. Okay, we're going to just go on to something which is the bane of everyone's lives, and that's tool theft. Now, I work for Fix Radio. I have a very interesting show every week. Well, I think it's interesting. It's an interesting thing to do, being a radio presenter. I've never done it before. But for the last year, I've had a carpentry and joinery show on a Monday at lunchtime. But you can also take it as a podcast without the music. So it's condensed down to 20 odd minutes as well. Now that's available from Fix Radio. Just go in, Fix Radio, search, and you'll see all of the shows, episodes, and all the rest of it. So have a look at that. But Fix Radio have started a petition. It's actually quite cold in here. The more you sit around, you're getting colder and colder. My speech is getting slurrier than if I've had 10 cans of Stella. But so they've launched a petition, and now here's a few headline facts. Every 20 minutes in the UK, a tool is stolen from a van, and just today, £245,000 worth of tools will be stolen. Now, as tradesmen, we've got to try and do something about that. Now, there is a petition. We need 10,000 signatures on that petition. It's a government petition online, so the government will listen. And then we need to raise that number to get them to speak about it in Parliament. So there's a link down to that as well. Please help if you can.
Takes seconds to do anyway. It's real quick.
Yeah. Okay, one more thing about the radio as well. If you listen to the radio, or you watch these, or you do the Instagram and the rest of it, and you want to ask me some questions, I'm looking for someone to do a reverse interview on me on the Carpentry and Joinery Show. So express your interest. I'll put you in touch with Mark, who's the producer. You'll have a chat, and between you'll come up with some questions, and then we'll do it on the radio show. How about that?
That'd be good. That'd be interesting.
Well, I think that's about it for us for this Chippie Chat. If you want to, for the next Chippie Chat, if you've got any ideas, get in touch with us, and we'll see if we can shoehorn it in.
Sure, we've got some work to do, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got to get back to work now, earn some keep.
Thank you very much for watching Chippie Chat. We'll be back in soon, hopefully. And hope you have a good year and enjoy.
See you soon.